Alrighty, this homework is a little challenging. At least there's a couple problems that I know that were an issue. In my period 3, I didn't get to go over kind of what the homework had entailed for it, so you may be a little lost in that class, but it's okay. Hopefully this video will help clear things up. What I want you to do first is, in this one, I want you to create the equation, if you can for me, and this is x, and this is y. And it should help you that this is actually 440. I would write the coordinates out just so I don't get mixed up, because it's real easy to start writing this as x, y, and that's not the case, okay? If I go ahead and set this up, I get 40 minus 80, 4 minus 8. And I get negative 40 over negative 4, which equals positive 10. And I just found my slope. Slope is going to be 10. All right, now that I know my slope is 10, plug in a coordinate. If I plug in 4 here and 40, 4 times 10 is 40 and equals 40, so it's plus 0. So if I was to write this out cleanly, Jenna's results were y equals 40x. And if I wrote it out the way they had the s and the d here, it would be d distance equals 40s. And that's super important to look at, because then look at, not 40, why did I put 40? Marusik, should be 10. Hopefully you guys caught that error too, and we're trying to yell through the screen and tell me. And then David's time. So Jenna's time is 10 seconds, right there, 10 per second, whatever it is distance-wise. It doesn't tell us. Oh, it's in feet, so 10 feet per second. It's pretty fast. And then David's time is 11.6 feet per second. So it's a little faster. If you see that these slopes, this one's faster. And this last one, I told you to use 110 as that point and 0, 0. And also give me another equation. So if you used 110 and 0, 0, you got 0 minus 10, 0 minus 1, negative 10 over negative 1. Well, this looks familiar. It's going to be 10 as well. So Emily's results is going to be distance equals 10s as well, or y equals 10x, because we know it's going to be plus 0. We know our y-intercept's right there. So Emily and Jenna's times are the same. So David got first, and then there was a tie first, second. I know it was a tough problem. It was, but we were able to get through it, okay? Number 2 talks about company A versus company B, and all you're doing is comparing who has the larger slope. You're just comparing slopes. So if we look at slopes, we know our rule for slopes is always y minus y, x minus x. So I have 2, 50, 12, 150. And I'm going to get 50 minus 150, 2 minus 12, negative 100 over negative 10. Well, that looks familiar. That's 10. So the slope for this one, company A, is 10. Now let's go to company B. I can take the first 2 points, and I know my rule, y minus y, 160. I know it looks messy. And 5 minus 10. And this is actually going to be negative 55 over negative 5. And if you do the math here, negative 5 into 55, it's going to be 11. So this is 11. This is 10. So company B is the one that's charging more per item. It's charging $11 per item as opposed to company A, which is $10 per item. Okay? Number 3, you should not have any issues with 3. If you were getting through it, it should be 13 minus 1, negative 2 minus 1. You're going to get 12 over negative 3, which equals negative 4. So our slope is going to be negative. Again, there shouldn't be an issue here. If we plug in a coordinate, I would plug in 1, 1. I wouldn't plug in anything that had a negative in there, unless I had to. But if I plug in 1, 1, does 1 equal negative 4? What do we have to add here to get this to be equal to 1? Well, guess what? If I add 4, negative 4 plus 4, that gives me 0. So I'm almost at 1. So if I add 1 more, what if I added 5? Negative 4 plus 5, that gives me positive 1. And that's a tough one, but you got to try to figure that out. And hopefully some of you guys are able to do that on your own. Okay, that's the equation. All right, number 4. This is proportional. And here is the other point. So if I was to go ahead and do this, it'd be up 20 40, 60, 80, 100. Look at the coordinates. Look at the units. What's that? 120, 140, 160, 180. Rise 180 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 180 over 5. So y equals 180 over 5x plus 0. But let's go ahead and see, does 5 go into 180 and how many times? If I go ahead and do the math, 36 times. So y equals 36x. But guess what? This is represented with g. This is represented with d. So your distance equals 36g. And that's a tough one to go ahead and use the different letters, but I want you to start seeing it that way. All right, the last one is a curveball. Actually, this is your last one. You should have no problems doing that one on your own. The second to the last one is kind of a curveball. Anna and Destiny. Destiny's problem's already done, but Anna's isn't. Whenever you see a table, please just know that I am wanting the whole equation initially, and then we'll look at who has started closer to Whittier and who is traveling faster. Traveling faster is always slope, and the closer to Whittier part is interesting. It's actually going to be the y-intercept, and who has a larger y-intercept. All right, so when we go ahead and do this one, this y-intercept 62, and we're going to solve this one. If we do the math, it's going to be 62 minus 109 over 0 minus 1. And if I do my math correctly, is it going to be 57? Negative 57 over negative 1? I believe that's the case. Or 47, right? 47, my bad. So this should be positive 47. If you did this math properly in your calculator, I'm not having the calculator out. I want you to do it on your own. And then if I plug in 0 here, again, that's my shortcut. I know it's going to be plus 62. So guess what? They have the same y-intercept, but which one's traveling faster? Anna. Anna's traveling faster. She's going 47 distance per hour as opposed to 35. Okay? You guys should be able to handle this. I know it was a little different. You guys are doing this one on your own, all right? And I'll check in with you guys tomorrow.